Have you ever felt paralyzed when faced with a simple decision? Like scrolling endlessly through Netflix, only to end up watching nothing? Or worse, you make a choice, and almost immediately doubts start creeping in about whether it was the right one? We've been told all our lives that having more options gives us more freedom, and by extension, more happiness. But what if I told you that the more choices we have, the more miserable we become? Today, we're diving deep into the paradox of choice and exploring how this abundance of options is affecting our lives. You'll learn why having too many options is leading us to more anxiety, indecision, and dissatisfaction. But stick around, because I'm going to share strategies that will help you make decisions faster, with less regret and more confidence. So let's get started. We live in an age where choices are everywhere, and many of us believe that the more options we have, the better. From choosing a career to deciding what to have for dinner, our lives are saturated with decisions. But according to psychologist Barry Schwartz, more choices don't lead to more happiness. They actually lead to more stress. When we have too many options, our brains become overwhelmed, and we experience something called choice overload. Our minds get stuck, unable to make decisions because we're constantly thinking about the other possibilities we could have chosen instead. And when we do make a choice, the fear of missing out or choosing the wrong option keeps us from fully enjoying it. You've probably experienced this before, right? Ever spent hours researching a product online, only to feel just as uncertain when it's time to buy? Or maybe you've stood in front of a menu, trying to decide between two almost identical dishes, only to leave feeling dissatisfied with your choice? That's the paradox of choice in action. The more options we have, the more we fear making the wrong decision. This leads to increased anxiety and regret, which only makes it harder to make future decisions. We're constantly weighing the pros and cons of every possible choice, and that's mentally exhausting. But here's the kicker. While we're busy second-guessing our decisions, we're missing out on the happiness we could be experiencing. Our minds tend to focus on what we could have gained by making a different choice, rather than appreciating what we've gained by making the decision we did. In other words, we're so focused on what-ifs that we forget to enjoy what is. So why does this happen? What's going on in our brains when we face too many choices? Well, the science of decision-making shows that when we're given too many options, the brain goes into overload. Our cognitive resources are drained by the constant need to evaluate each possibility. Instead of feeling empowered by having more choices, we feel paralyzed and exhausted. This is because our brains are not equipped to handle an infinite number of options without some form of decision fatigue setting in. In fact, studies have shown that having too many choices can actually reduce our satisfaction with our decision, even if we made the best one. This is known as decision regret. We start thinking about all the things we could have chosen, and that leads to second-guessing and unhappiness. Research from Barry Schwartz and others has found that limiting options can actually improve decision-making and increase satisfaction. When we have fewer choices, our brains can process information more effectively, leading to quicker and more confident decisions. And the best part, we're less likely to regret those decisions afterward. Now you're probably wondering, how can I apply this to my life? Well, there are a few strategies that can help you deal with the paradox of choice and make decisions more quickly and with less stress. First, limit your options. If you're faced with a decision, try to narrow it down to a few choices instead of considering everything. For example, when it comes to choosing a restaurant, instead of scrolling through 50 options on Yelp, limit yourself to just 5. You'll make a decision faster and feel more confident about it. Second, trust your gut. Many of us spend hours analyzing every detail and overthinking our decisions, but often our initial instinct is the right one. If you feel good about something right away, don't be afraid to go with it. Trusting your intuition can help you avoid decision fatigue and reduce anxiety. Third, embrace good enough. Perfectionism is a major contributor to indecision. We're so afraid of making the wrong choice that we avoid making a choice at all. But here's the thing, you don't need to make the perfect decision. Sometimes, good enough is more than enough. If a decision satisfies your needs, that's a win. Move on and enjoy the outcome without looking back. And finally, don't sweat the small stuff. When it comes to big decisions, like choosing a career path or a life partner, of course, it's important to take your time. But for the smaller, everyday decisions, give yourself permission to make mistakes. Not every decision needs to be life-changing. The more you let go of perfectionism and embrace the idea that not every choice needs to be a perfect one, the easier it will be to make decisions quickly. In a world with endless options, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, stressed, and even unhappy. But by understanding the paradox of choice, you can start to make decisions faster, with less anxiety, and most importantly, with more confidence. Remember, it's not about having more options. It's about learning how to deal with the options you have and making decisions that work for you. So next time you're faced with a tough choice, try limiting your options, trusting your gut, and embracing the good enough mindset. The less time you spend overthinking and second-guessing, the more energy you'll have to enjoy the choices you make and live a happier, more fulfilling life. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how to live a more focused and intentional life. Take care, and see you in the next video.